Yeah, there's a lot we could talk about.
We could keep going with this
We've
stuff.
wasted so much time.
No, we haven't. This is never a waste.
Never a waste.
Who needs?
Sadie turned her camera around. 12 minutes. Also, not a camera. You didn't turn the camera.
Let's be
around.
honest. It's 13 minutes.
It's 13 minutes.
13 minutes.
It's like it's like gas prices.
Right.
We always say the low price, but it's always 0.9.
Yeah. Right.
You know, we're a cent off.
Yeah.
So,
that was
they're
funny.
Smart. They're
so
smart
good.
about that.
So funny.
Oh man.
Dude,
so we have been talking about what it's like to be a pastor.
Right.
And I had a really good conversation with Sadie last week, or last time we filmed.
Yeah.
About what it's like to be a pastor. And part of it is like we just want I worry about the number of people who are leaving pastoral ministry.
It's high, man. It's really
just
high.
the attrition rate in general, but then also the number of people who are retiring out that we're not replacing with young people.
Right.
And that's a big deal. I mean, and so there are denominations that are out there that are like 60% of their pastoral force are retiring in the next 5 years, and they don't have enough people to replace them. And so, in the Wesleyan Church, we've done pretty well with it, but in Inspire, we just want to affirm people being called into ministry. And so some of it is just talking very openly about what it's like to be a pastor. Yeah. And I think it's just helpful for our church to know that, right? Isn't it helpful for people at Inspire to know, like, oh, these are the things we deal with? Or, these are the things that you get to know us better, and some of the struggles and all of that stuff. So
it makes us more human to them. So
Anyway, we got cut off on a couple things that we were going to talk about in the last episode. Okay. But one of the things that people ask us a lot about, and there's a little bit of debate between pastors on this, like how do you grow spiritually? Yeah. While you're a pastor, and some people would say, well, I take my sermon study time and I grow spiritually during that. And then some people would say, you can't do that. You can't take your sermon study time. You have to have separate time. Sure. I used to be on the whole well, anything's an opportunity to grow, and now I'm like, no, I really can't use my sermon study time to grow. You know? But how has being a pastor deepened your faith with God, your own personal relationship, like Brady and God?
Brady and God, yeah. That's good. Yeah, I think for me, I mean, going back to what you said just like a couple seconds ago, like I feel like when I'm doing sermon prep, there's always something I can glean from it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm not like intentionally trying to glean something from it. I think that makes sense, but there always ends up being something for me in it. Yeah. Like when I'm doing sermon prep, I needed to hear that first and foremost. Yeah. So I think there's that part of it too, but really like thinking about like how ministry has helped deepen my faith. Probably at the time, probably 3, maybe 4 years ago, I was talking with Linda, my wife, and I was like, Linda, like I wonder, like if I wasn't in ministry, would my faith in Jesus be as deep as it is? Yeah. And is ministry kind of help keeping me close to Jesus? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like the answer to that ultimately is yes. I think being in ministry has really helped me grow closer to Jesus.
You're kind of forced into it.
You're kind of forced into it, yeah. But there's also a point where you have to realize like as pastors, like you have to take control over like your own like soul care. Yeah. Like just because you're a pastor doesn't automatically mean you're going to be the most spiritual person or the person who's closest to Jesus. Yeah. Like by like default. Like that's not really how that works.
Yeah, totally.
And so like you have to be very intentional about like seeking Jesus and making sure that like you're giving him space to do the work in you that week in, week out, we ask our students or we ask our I sound like Robert Kennedy right now. That we that got Sadie laughing too. So good, man. So good.
Just minus the cancer.
Yeah, right.
That's the reason. Yeah. You just have a head cold. He had cancer.
I know. It's not the same playing field at all. And I was talking about Jesus in the middle of it
by
too.
By way of comparison.
Comparison. And let's go back to Jesus here. Oh my gosh. Man,
I just want to pull the clip and just hear you say that constantly. What do you sound like? I sound like RFK Jr.
RFK Jr. right now. Yeah. Okay. But no, seriously, like
imagine if he would have become president, we would have heard him do speeches every single day.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
So fascinating.
Yeah. We're just saying the thing everyone was thinking.
Right.
Okay. We're gonna stop.
We're gonna go back to Jesus. Yeah. But yeah, having to just like be intentional about my own growth. Yeah. And realize that like I need to be doing the things like I'm asking my students or like people who I'm preaching to. Like I need to be doing that first and foremost. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and go now.
I can't stop laughing.
It's so good.
That's a really funny comment.
Dude.
I just didn't see it coming.
I didn't. Yeah.
Oh, man, I love that.
So there's that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year, this year was probably the most challenging.
Yeah.
Has been probably the most challenging year for me, like in terms of like learning, right? I mean, I've talked a lot about how it's my first go at being a lead pastor, and there's so many things I just don't know that I don't know. And so a lot of it is just learning like the firsts of a lot of things. Like this is the first type of thing you're going to have to lead, or this is the first type of this thing you're going to have to lead. And we did a big vision campaign, and I had to really learn what it means to like lose control over the outcome of a situation.
Yeah, right.
And I learned very quickly that the only way I was going to be able to lead in this season as a pastor was to learn in a new way and in a deeper way what it meant to trust. And so good. What it meant to trust God. And I've talked very openly about the word abide during centering prayer, and contemplative prayer for me has been really, really important. And so I think I learned in the process of what it means to abide that I trust God with the results no matter what the results are going to be. And so the vision campaign we were doing was $1.5 million. Right. And I was like, am I okay if I get up in front of the church and say, hey, our goal was $1.5 million, and we got $300,000, am I going to be okay if that happens, you know? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be okay with it. Like whatever needs to happen. And thank God got us to a point where people committed to the whole, thing. But, but yeah, I mean, I've had to really learn that I can't just rely on the growth that I've had in the past to get me to the place that I need to be later. Yeah. Right. And so there's been a whole trusting thing that's been really important.
That's so good
for me with that. Yeah.